Okay, we are on chapter 7 of Tanya. Klipas Noga. The garments of the animal soul, being from Klipas Noga, may be elevated to holiness or relegated to complete evil. So what is this Klipas Noga? The following life forms are derived from Klipa Noga. The vitalizing animal soul in a Jew, which is derived from the side of Klipa, and which clothes itself in the human being's blood, providing him with physical life, as stated above. And the souls of the animals, beasts, birds, and fish, which are pure according to the laws of the Torah, and are thus permitted for Jewish consumption. And everything of existence and vitality in the inanimate and the vegetable world that is permissible for consumption is Klipa Noga. Remember how we were talking in the previous chapter, depending on how we use that substance will depend whether it will be redeemed and the holy sparks will be extracted and elevated, or God forbid, if we use it in a not holy way, then the opposite happens. The entrapment of the holy sparks takes place, and then it's like it's imprisoned, and then the klipa becomes barriers on top of barriers, bearing our godly essence from being redeemed. So we see, if we are not performing them for the sake of heaven, then even though it is like a neutral substance or a neutral act or a neutral thought, then that in fact creates this imprisonment. And it's one thing that I have found in Tanya that was very helpful, and it talks about this in this chapter, is that even though we may partake in things not l'shem shamayim, or even when we, God forbid, do the opposite of holiness with these neutral acts, we can repent from it. And that's why it's so good right before going to sleep, right after Shema Lamitah, to do tshuva, because this actually is like a double sword, if you read the actual wording of the prayer, that kind of chops away the negative energies that got attached to us through engaging in these thoughts, speech, and actions, so that the person will be freed every day from the mishaps of the day, or from the engaging in activities that were not for a godly purpose. Now, we know we're not supposed to say, I'll sin and repent, and that's not really kosher thing to do, because we know that by accident we're going to go through the day and not have a perfect day. We know that we're not the tzaddik gamor because we don't have a pure 100% being like a tzaddik. We have a Yetzer Hara. We are going to fall in temptation, but this chapter is teaching us that we can daily purify ourselves. And I liken it to like a garment that you have and it gets stained. And you take it to the dry cleaners to get rid of the stains. So every day's Shema Lamitah with the special prayers of tshuva helps the soul get rid of the stains of the day. So that way, the klipa of today will not be added to tomorrow's klipa, and therefore avoid like this heavy-heartedness and this shell on top of shell on top of shell that ends up burying our godly essence. Kind of like a window, if it has one veil and one curtain, as you see here, and another curtain. Here you could see some streaming light, but if I took 10 curtains or more, then none of the light will be able to stream in. So when we are careful to get rid of the veils, these klipas of our heart daily, then we have a greater wherewithal to not be dragged down into captivity of our heart and soul and our mind kind of being blocked from these negative energies. And so it says here that, for instance, in detail, if someone doesn't act like eating beef and gladdening the heart with wine for a good reason, because we're taught that spice wine broadens the mind as well as eating beef. So if a person ate it just gluttonously and not really for a pure purpose, then what ends up happening is the sparks of holiness that could have been redeemed and released ends up becoming the opposite energy of, imprisoning our godly essence. And therefore then a person can experience like a stone-heartedness, blockage of feelings when they pray, let's say, or they're not going to